we did see some potential concerns with the Niners, particularly on defense, particularly in the first half. Ambry Thomas can't play for this team. I don't know why they keep going back to him, but when they eventually bench him mid-game, which they've done 2 games in a row, they go to Isaiah Oliver in the slot. He had some big plays, but he's been benched for a reason. And then today, the Niners worked out Bradley Roby. What do you know about him? He's been around.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about him. I mean, he's a really feisty, competitive, quick-footed, loose hips, slot corner. Yeah, he's a nickel corner. He's a first-round pick. He's a great athlete. He ran, in the 4.3s coming out, played at Ohio State, played for Denver, won a Super Bowl with Denver. Then floated to Houston and New Orleans. I think the Saints cut him in August. He's now 31. Good, decent size, about 5'11", maybe 6 feet, right around or shade under 6 feet, but 195 pounds, 10 1/4 inch hands, big hands, 3-star guy, high school guy out of Georgia. He's a good player. He's a good player. He's got a lot of experience in off-man coverage. He's a good blitzer. He's a good kick blocker. He's always had excellent ball production, man. This guy's always around the ball. He's got great balance, great feet, very confident, very competitive. He's scheme versatile. So, you want to play zone, he can play zone. You want to play off man, he can play off man. You want to play bump and run, he can play bump and run. He's a quick twitch guy. He's not the athlete. He's obviously not, 25 anymore. He's 31. There were some character concerns about him along the way. He had a couple different character issues along the way, but this guy can play football. There's no question. He's got ball skills. He's to me, if I could use 2 words to describe him, he's a tenacious, feisty, corner. So I would, and with experience. So unless he's been hurt and he's lost a lot of speed, I'd be very interested.
Yeah. Interesting. He's 31, probably a little bit obviously past his prime. I think this is, whether they sign him or not, this is an admission from the Niners that this is their weak point on defense. You don't have to be a genius to figure out this is the weak point on defense, but their third cornerback, whether he's outside or inside, Isaiah Oliver, they don't have much confidence in any corner outside of Lenore and Ward. So Bradley Roby, I don't know if he's a solution, but they're going to have to work this out because they're going to go against teams with better wide receivers than the Rams, and they're eventually going to have this guy, whoever that number 3 cornerback is, tested. Maybe Bradley Roby's the best they can do. Maybe.
They got rid of Deshaun Jameson. That was a mistake.
I wanted to say that. That was a big mistake. I was just looking him up. They could have had him on the outside and Lenore in the slot. That's what they should have, but he's gone.
They chose, Matt Pryor and Jalen Moore. They probably should have gone with one backup offensive tackle. They didn't know which one they wanted to go with, or maybe they made Pryor or his agent some kind of a promise. But I don't know. I mean, now they tried to squeeze Deshaun Jameson through waivers onto the practice squad, and the Cardinals, who are in their division, are hawking them. And they grabbed Il Manning, and then I should say they didn't grab today. They grabbed Quantrez Knight, but they Carolina grabbed Deshaun Jameson. So now he's in Carolina. And that was a real mistake, because anytime you have guys that can play corner in the NFL, you keep them on your roster and you figure it out. And for them to take 4 backup offensive linemen, including 2 backup tackles that aren't that great, that was disappointing. And it cost them Jameson. And now here we are. We're 2 weeks into the season, and I'm sure they'd love to have him back.
You were there at every day of training camp with me. We watched Ambry Thomas and we watched Deshaun Jameson. Who was better?
I thought Jameson was clearly better.
Clearly.
But Ambry is got, here's the thing. Jameson, you got to remember this. I think Adam P. There's egos and there's stuff involved here. From what I had heard, Adam Peters had pounded the table loudly for Ambry Thomas. So maybe Ambry Thomas is his guy, and to cut Ambry Thomas at the cut down, maybe there would be some of the bloom would be off the rose of Adam Peters, how they think about Adam Peters. I don't know. Maybe they did it to protect Peters. Maybe they did it because they think Thomas is better. But Thomas is inconsistent.
He's not better.
I don't think he was terrible yesterday, but Puka Nacua, all those little stop routes in the first half, those were all against Ambry.
But the fact that Ambry was their number 3 cornerback to start the season, that he was literally on the field to start the year in their nickel packages, first 2 games, that's egregious. If that's who they think their third best corner was, then Jameson should have still been on the team because he could have been playing.
Yeah.
They need him now. You could argue they needed him the last 2 weeks. They won. But yeah, I wonder if that's going to come back to bite him because it's so hard to find corners who can play well as opposed to D linemen. D linemen, they're important and they're valuable, but they're kind of a dime a dozen, especially on this team with this D-line coach. They have no problem finding D-line.
Especially if you got a young guy that doesn't cost you anything, and Deshaun Jameson doesn't cost you anything. Plus, I mean, it was not smart because not only is Deshaun Jameson a good corner, not only could he play outside and inside in the slot, he's also an accomplished return man. So you also got rid of a really, I mean, and you saw it in the preseason. It wasn't like, well, we never saw that. We saw that in the preseason. You could see, hey, wow, look at this guy. This guy's not just a return man. This guy's like kind of an experienced veteran, calm return man. But they obviously have other returners, and so they didn't feel the urgency there. But yeah, that was a gaffe, man. I mean, you should have picked between Jalen Moore and Matt Pryor. Neither of those guys is particularly good. They feared that with the dearth of offensive linemen around the league, that one of those guys would have gotten picked up. But so be it. Matt Pryor's out of shape. You can find Matt Pryors on the street. You can't find a corner on the street.